Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Only Stupid Answers. This is the show where we answer your questions about movies, TV shows, comic books. I'm your host, DJ Wooldridge, and with me, as always, is Roxy Stryer with our catchphrase of the day. Roxy, what is our catchphrase of the day?
Why?
Everybody remember the catchphrase of the day
Why?
is why.
Currently, that might be the catchphrase of every 20 minutes
of every
in 2025.
Yep.
But we'll see.
Love
maybe
it.
it'll iron out. So far, so bad.
Yeah, maybe it'll iron out. Oh, who's that other voice? The other voice is our very special guest, Jonathan London. Hello, Jonathan.
How are you guys?
I'm doing all
glad
right.
to be here, man. This is awesome.
Thank you. Is this your? I've been on your show a couple times. Is this your first time on this show?
I didn't want to say anything, but like it's all good, bro.
Yeah.
Like some people are solid, and some people, like you got to beg,
Well, listen, you're here now. Listen.
No, dude, I love
now.
it, dude. You're in the same situation as I am in life right now.
Yeah.
Chasing around a little crap monster who you have to keep kept fed. Dude, we just crossed 6 months with our daughter Ophelia. That's longer than most houseplants in my life. Feeling pretty good.
Feeling pretty stoked on it. But you're not here to promote your daughter. You're here to promote a little Kickstarter that you got going.
Yeah, man. We got a comic book going from Geekscape, like our first Geekscape comic book. And I felt so bold that I just ordered 150 copies like a month before the Kickstarter even started. And it's got that little Geekscape Comics logo right there.
Yeah.
But this comic is Paul London, Hero of the Prophecy. For those of you who are listening, are like, Jonathan London, where do I know the name London from? No, not Jeremy and Jason London from Mallrats and all that. And my brother Paul London was a WWE wrestler in like the aughts.
Yeah.
And he's great. It was awesome. He wrestled with Cena. He wrestled with Batista, Stone Cold, and all those guys. He had the cruiserweight and tag team belts multiple times, was on SmackDown. And then, that life kind of turns into a transition when you're 5'10" and you're doing a lot of flips. And Paul and I talked once as his body was just taking a lot of hits and the schedule was getting the better of him. I mean, pro wrestling. You've seen the dark side of the ring and all that stuff. Paul called me when Eddie Guerrero died of a heart attack. Like, this stuff is rough. And we were standing outside of The Wrestler, the movie.
Yeah, Mickey Rourke. Yeah.
And Paul really found himself in a crossroads. I was like, is that going to be me? And I said, dude, like, I don't care. Just, you can be whoever you want to be. But he was going through a bit of a mental health kick. And I knew he was wrestling with it. No pun intended. Like, he was going through it. And it freaked me out because a couple of years earlier, in 96, our older brother had been killed by a drunk driver. Not to bring the show down.
Yeah.
But
right off the top.
But like with my one remaining brother going through that internal flux, I said, nah, fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm going to do something as a storyteller. And I wrote an entire story that weekend called Paul London, Hero of the Prophecy, where I kind of galaxy quest my brother as himself to a fantasy world, like Krull, Willow, Beastmaster, all these Golden Globus movies that we loved as kids. And they see wrestling through a portal and they think it's real. They're like, look at how the arena cheers for him. He's clearly the hero of the prophecy who'll defeat the evil Ramsar and save us. And they summon him, and he is not a real fighter. He's a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
And just like Three Amigos and that kind of mistaken identity storyline, he's got to save an entire kingdom, fantasy world. We're going
to tell you guys more about Hero of Prophecy in a little bit. Stay tuned for that one. But it's really dope. I've already backed it. It's on Kickstarter right now.
Thanks, man.
Before we get into our main discussion today, which will be about the Fantastic Four trailer, which just dropped this week, one presumes in anticipation of the big game, or whatever I'm allowed to say legally. But before we get into all of that, a little business up top. If you want to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. You can also leave comments on our YouTube show or on Spotify. Here's some comments from YouTube. John, this was from our episode. Roxanne and I talked about a few different things, but the main discussion was Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which if you watched this show live, Jonathan was just talking about a little bit. I'm not disliking the show. I'm just having a hard time separating it from the MCU. And yeah, the Superman flying shot looks good to me. Kids these days are used to everything looking like Toy Story or Despicable Me, so they don't know when practical effects are being done. Pika Mark Loving the animated series so far. I mean, we have so many Spider-Man series over the years. I'm not as big on the needing to be on it needing to be canon, nor much like the comics anymore. Sakad 79. I'm probably pronouncing all these wrong. That's fine. They're made up names. One presumes. Actually, maybe I don't. Maybe they're not made up names. Maybe that's part of their actual names. Sorry, everybody. I would assume that since Marvel cannot make their own live-action Spider-Man films and they control the ancillary characters who show up, I assume that they're using Spider-Man as a vehicle to expose Marvel fans through the most popular Marvel character to a wider Marvel roster. I did. Roxy and Jonathan, I was thinking about it this week, and I think I figured it out. Now, to be fair, Jonathan was saying before the show that maybe once I give it to like episode 5, it'll click for me, and that happens with a lot of shows. That could very well be true. However, we put it to a vote. You guys said you wanted us to bring Spider-Versity back to cover this show. Sal and I are talking about it, so I'm actually waiting to watch the rest of the episodes so I can watch them for that show, so it can be fresh.
And I don't know if what that commenter said was true. Sony has the live action rights to Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And the film rights, which does include Spider-Verse. But as far as putting out cartoons,
Marvel's had it for a minute.
Short form, that's all Marvel. And what you'll see in the show is that there are things that'll come up like this, like the Civil War, Sokovia Accords, and things that are in the MCU. But this is not the Tom Holland Spider-Man. This is running along another multiverse, which has parallel MCU events in it.
Yeah.
But it's its own thing, you'll see.
Yeah. You know? Well, we'll see. You know what? We'll see. It looks like Sal and I are going to cover it for the show. Okay. So we're going to, you guys stay tuned. Patreon.com/onlystupid-answers. We'll be talking about it. I do have some theories on why it's not working for me, but you know what? I think I'm going to save those for when we talk about it on Spider-Versity. Let us get into our main discussion for today. We're going to talk about the new Fantastic Four trailer that just dropped this week. This is our first look at the new iteration that's going to be part-ish of the MCU. It is being produced by Marvel Studios. Roxy, you tend to hold off on trailers. Had you seen this trailer before I sent it to you?
I did, because I was doing all the real rejects.
I knew you were going to say that.
Social stuff. Yeah. But the first way that I watched it was of them watching it.
I love that that's how you experience things.
Yeah, I know. It is so wild.
Yeah.
It's actually so fun to watch somebody's reaction to something and then wonder what they're reacting to, and then to go back and see the thing and be like, oh, that's what they're reacting to.
Yeah.
As they're screaming, Galactus!
What are they reacting to?
What are we looking at? Yeah. But I did watch this. And also I will be watching the Super Bowl. So any of the spots that are going to be in the Super Bowl.
The big game.
Sorry.
Superb Owl. Whatever the rules are.
The SB, whatever you want to call it. I like this.
Yeah.
It's a teaser. Mm-hmm. I don't know really anymore, and people made fun of me for this. I don't really know the difference between a teaser and a trailer anymore.
Yeah.
If you're 2 minutes long, to me, you're a trailer. But I guess a teaser doesn't go through plot. A teaser introduces vibes and character.
Yeah.
And decade. So if that's what a teaser does, this did that, and I liked it.
What about you, Jonathan? How did you feel about this trailer?
I dig it, man. This is. When Peyton Reed was going to do it back at Fox before the regime change over there, this is 2003, 4, 5.
Yeah.
This was the one he wanted to do a 1960s.
Yeah.
One, and I always felt like as we got the Fox films, I was like, man, I would have loved to get that 1960s Fantastic Four. And obviously Brad Bird gave us the best version in The Incredibles of a Fantastic Four 1960s zip zap movie. But this feels right. And if I don't actually think they're going to be successful in this movie. I think Galactus is going to arrive and he's going to do the equivalent of what Hickman did in the comics in destroying that world. Yeah. And I think Reed may be working on a multiversal bridge already or something in this film. I think the Fantastic Four escape this reality at the end of this movie because Galactus does not get stopped. I think this movie, it looks hopeful. It looks zip zap and fun. I think this trailer nails it. But I think by the end of this movie, it's going to be a downer. I think they're going to be bailing on this reality, and hopefully you bring Herbie with you, because he's going to steal the movie. Calling it right now, he's going to be the cult favorite of this film.
Yeah, I think for me the response seems to be overwhelmingly positive. I think for me, I have been much more on the fence about setting it. I just think Marvel's tripping over their own dick on this one, because like the setting it in an alternate universe 60s, I think they're just making their opening salvo into their version of the Fantastic Four way too complicated. I think they missed their opportunity. Like, just set it in the MCU. Just have it set in a post Avengers world. I did a reaction on my channel. I said basically the same thing. Set it in a post Avengers world. Have them they are in space. They get their powers, and then the world's like, well, we don't have an Avengers. Maybe we can make these guys the Avengers, and that's your arc where they're kind of like, well, but we're not the Avengers. We're something else. We're a different thing. We're a family. We're whatever. I think, and there's nothing about this trailer to me. I didn't dislike it. It was fine. I was like, oh yeah, I want the Fantastic Four to be good. I like this cast. I've been excited about the Fantastic Four entering the MCU. I just feel like nothing about this screamed to me, this is why it needed to be set in the 60s. I don't think it did. And nothing about this makes me feel like it needs to. And considering the Fantastic Four's big pitches, we think ahead, we're part of the future. It's like, by setting them past, it's like, well, then you're kind of missing the point. Like, this is nostalgia as opposed to being more forward thinking.
DJ, I think that including Reed Richards in the current MCU and giving him his powers still creates an entire plot hole in the fact that Tony Stark, Hank Pym, these people would have been Reed Richards' peers, and he would have been present at least as an intellectual and a genius in this world. He needed to be removed from the MCU, and we get that shout out in Multiverse of Madness where, Doctor Strange says, wait, that team that disappeared back in the 60s? So there was a version of the Fantastic Four, or at least those 4 characters before they became the Fantastic Four. There was a version of Reed Richards and his family in the MCU.
I don't remember.
Doctor Strange says it when he meets
my memory
the
of Multiverse of Madness is he has no idea who Reed Richards is.
He goes, there's a reference. And I think that the MCU had a Reed Richards and family. This is a multiverse where there was also a Reed Richards and family. I think Galactus is going to doom this universe. I think they're going to get saved into ours.
Yeah, but doesn't that
don't actually think it's going to be that complicated.
But doesn't that make them too similar to? We already did Man Out of Time with Cap. We already did Woman Out of Time with Captain Marvel.
I think that's why it worked. I mean, you're talking about a Cap movie that set the foundation for a really successful sequel in Winter Soldier, a really successful setup in part of the Avengers. Like, that Cap movie is really important. I think Joe Johnson did a great job on that one.
Yeah,
and then Captain Marvel, I'm not going to knock $1 billion movie. Mm-hmm. That movie made $1 billion. Nobody cared that it was set in the early 90s. Nobody stopped and goes, wait, what? Where's she been? Da-da-da. And like, nobody cared. Yeah, they had to kind of plot armor her and like remove her from the whole Avengers movies for a while. They'd be like, yeah, you go off to space. We'll explain it later.
Yeah.
But in this one, sure, do it a third time. I mean, I'm not so... I'm not so cynical about what they've been doing in phase 4 and phase 5 or whatever mushy phase we're in now. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm not so cynical about the product we've been getting post Endgame. They've been taking swings. I think they have to take swings. I think that an artist who, like if you're a musician and you keep putting out the same album, I think things get bad. I think that gives you some really bad returns after a while. Marvel's been swinging. Have they all gone out of the park? No, but I like that they keep swinging. I like that they're swinging on this one. And I think the 60s thing is a swing, but it's also a swing that had some precedent. I mean, this again was the Christopher Columbus script that was in the 90s that everybody wanted to have seen made, but never got made.
Yeah.
This is the Peyton Reed version before the Fox regime changed and gave it to Tim Story to make those 2 films. This 1960s is the birth of the Marvel Universe. I mean, this is Marvel's first family. So the fact that I saw Fantastic Four First Steps, it just feels right. And you're going to get your current MCU Fantastic Four involvement with Doomsday and all of that. Like, this is going to be the intro to what I think is an adaptation of the Hickman, Secret War run, which is a fantastic Fantastic Four story. It started as an Avengers run with Hickman, which was great. I loved Hickman's run on Avengers. It was a long game, and he tricked everybody in Secret War to telling a great Fantastic Four movie, like story. And I think that's what we're gonna get. I think the Doomsday and the Secret War are gonna be Hickman's storyline.
Can we pause and rewind for a second? Going back.
Sorry, I went
No.
deep. Sorry.
No, why are you sorry? As Leonard Kim says in our chat, let Jonathan cook.
Thanks, Leonard.
Going to what you said, DJ, because as I've learned in 2025, the internet is so segmented that it's hard for me to know which internet I'm on sometimes. And DJ, you had said that the reaction to this teaser had been extremely positive, which has not been my experience. So what you're seeing online right now, DJ, is that people love this no notes?
I think what I'm seeing is more of, who knows what I'm seeing? That's a good point, Roxy. Who knows what I'm seeing? But I think it's more like our peers are like, and the vibe I'm getting is, yay, Fantastic Four movie. And I'm like, sure, I want a good one. I like this cast or whatever. But for me, I guess, and we're going to get into this a little bit because I've seen some discussion about like, are we more excited for Fantastic Four or Superman? Because interestingly, they're in a similar boat of, we're kind of revisiting, Marvel. Jonathan doesn't feel this way, but the general consensus seems to be, Marvel's lost some of its mojo and that we're trying to bring that back.
I do feel that way. I'm just here for it. Like, I understand that a brand has to mature and add different flavors to it, or else it will be. I mean, by the time we got that, like the Avengers 2 and they just looked like bigger versions of Iron Man.
I agree.
I think Guardians and Iron Man were really important in adding new tones to that universe. Yeah, we need another one.
I agree with maturing. I think retreating to nostalgia doesn't read as maturing to me. That reads as backpedaling. But for me, the Superman trailer got me way more hyped than this was like, oh, okay, it's another Marvel movie. Got it. But Roxy, so you're seeing, so for me, a lot of it's been like, no, I'm here for Fantastic Four. Da, 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 da. You're saying you're seeing a different reaction.
It was mostly about Rock Monster look horrible. Monster looks so bad. He look animated.
I do think the thing kind of looks bad. I mean, for all the shit She-Hulk got, I'm like, but we're going to give, because again, I'm seeing positive stuff. So I'm like, wait, so we're going to give the thing a pass, even though we were shitting on She-Hulk?
I've been very surprised to see how shredded this has gotten because of how they think that thing looks. And I'm like, I don't really understand. And I didn't understand with She-Hulk. So I'm just, I have a different mind for this, different eyes for this. But when people keep saying they want him to be photo accurate, what?
Yeah, I don't know what that means. I just know.
Show us the photo you had of the thing out on the street.
What photo? What photo are you talking about?
If you're talking about the Corman thing, Carl Ciarfolio in that suit, and keep in mind, like Carl Ciarfolio, who was in that suit for the Roger Corman one, he's incredible. He was also Kevin Smith's stunt double on Mallrats. He's a wonderful human being. Yeah, and that looks like the Kirby thing. And sure, you want the Kirby thing, great. Like, I think this thing looks fantastic.
I think the design looks good. I just seeing it in action, I was like, well, this looks like it could use another pass. It looks like
you got a couple months. They fixed Sonic. Yeah. Let's chill.
It's not Sonic bad. It's not Sonic bad.
I'm the only person on the planet who saw the original Sonic design and was like, that's cool. And everybody's like, the teeth. And I was like, I don't care. It looks great. I mean, unless I can do better, I don't knock it. And I can't. So I don't know. I think it looks great, but that's mostly what my internet was saying. Jonathan, what was your internet saying?
I haven't been really reading a lot of the internet on this stuff because we've been making stuff and everything. I think that here's where this Ben Grimm got me is the really important thing that every Fantastic Four movie has whiffed on. Ben is the heart of the Fantastic Four. He is the epitome of Reed's failure. Reed goes up into space without preparation. And that Ben in the trench coat and the hat, when he's watching the old footage of himself as a human, that's the heart of the Fantastic Four. And Reed will do anything to try and save his friend and fix him. And Ben's now a monster, and that Frankenstein story, I think, is like the coolest thing about the pathos that Stan Lee and Jack Kirby put into this character way back when, and that's what works. And you have Johnny's perfect. He is brash, and he jumps at things. And Sue Storm is the one that keeps them all together. She keeps them in a protective bubble. She keeps them all connected. Reed's overstretching himself. He's trying to find a fix for everything. But the heart of the Fantastic Four is Ben Grimm. And he, everybody else can still pass as human. He can't. He's trapped. And when I saw that one transition shot, the rack focus from him as a human to him in the window as a monster, I was like, yeah, this is gonna work. This is like Magneto and Auschwitz at the beginning of the Bryan Singer movie. This is gonna work. This is like the fun of the beginning of Guardians of the Galaxy, and a bunch of rejects all trapped on a ship and they hate each other. This is gonna work. Iron Man, the second you see Tony Stark kicking back in his back seat, completely just not caring that he's selling weapons to the worst people on the planet, like, they did it, cool, I'm in, they got to work. And that's what that Ben Grimm shot was.
Roxy, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
I know you love yourself some 60s, you love yourself some throwback stuff. You've been excited about, if I recall correctly, you've been excited about this aspect of it. Watching this, did you feel like, oh, the 60s? Like, did that come across to you?
Yeah, I think that first of all, in HMU, in wardrobe, and in set design, very much so. What was interesting is that it did give me immediate WandaVision vibes, which, as
Same director, Matt Shackman.
As the fans of this show know, is I didn't like, even though Wanda's my favorite character. I didn't enjoy that show. So for a second, I was like, huh.
Yeah.
And then I kind of settled into it. But it definitely, of course, it gives 60s vibes. Going back to the photo that you just put up of Sue, of Venessa Kirby, I think that my favorite part of the teaser were all the moments with her, frankly. I think she's so ridiculously talented. You guys know I'm a big TV girl over here, so I've been loving her since The Crown. But I just think that the way that they make her powers in this and in the scene with her as the Invisible Woman, as she's kind of like fading away, was so beautiful. I just think that they nailed it on her appearance and her powers, and from what we saw in this teaser. And that got me really excited. That was probably the thing that got me most excited. Yeah. Whether this is cliche or not, she's my favorite Fantastic Four character. Yeah. And so I was stoked to see, like, wow, I think she is a hell of an actress. I think that they nailed the look of her. I think that they totally got the vibe. The chemistry obviously matters so much, and it was there. I'm glad that Leonard reminded me the other thing that my internet is really upset about is Mustache Gate.
Yeah, we have Mike Choi says, do you have a problem with Reed having a mustache? And I think I'll be the only one on the panel that says, yeah, kind of, actually. yeah, kind of.
I miss the gray hairs on the side of his head. I miss that.
I think those, no, they're there. I would have had Pedro go full beard. We've had enough Reed with a full beard. I would have had, and he's got, it's not, the mustache is more prominent. It's not that he doesn't have any facial hair here. It's just very light. And I was like, no, I would have had Pedro grow that out.
Like, let the man cook, because listen, we got a 6'1" Wolverine, and I was so like vocal on the old Ain't It Cool news message boards when I saw those leaked photos of Bryan Singer's Wolverine and the X-Men in the black leather, and I was like, what the F is this? And then I'm sitting there in 2000 watching X-Men unspool on screen, and I was like, don't ever go on the internet and talk trash about like the early look ever again, because these X-Men are perfect right here. This is what the movie needed. And I think this is what the movie is going to need. I wonder who John Malkovich is going to play. I can't wait to see Shia LaBeouf. I think people are going to be like, oh, I'm into this Silver Surfer. And I think that's cool that they went with Shia LaBeouf for this Silver Surfer. I still think we're going to get a Norrin Rad Silver Surfer in your MCU. I'm calling it DJ Woolbridge's MCU. It's
so complicated.
This is going to be you're going to get your Norrin Rad.
Don't worry. We'll get the classic Silver Surfer eventually, and we'll get the classic Doctor Doom eventually, and we'll get the classic. Just do it. Don't do all this
Doom's
multiverse
the best
shit.
Villain in the Marvel universe. We're going to get a great Doom. And it may not be Robert.
Sure. Every time, it's so funny. Recently with all this, Marvel's like, what about this? And I'm like, no thanks. No, thank you.
Let's just wait and see, guys. Like, ultimately, DJ, Roxy, you guys are creators, and that's why we create. Is sometimes you go and buy the product and you're like, can't wait to go through the comic, watch the movie, listen to the record, and sometimes it just doesn't hit every beat you want it to hit. Sometimes it just, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't working for me. you need to fill that emotional gap, that creative gap somehow. So you start creating your own stuff. So I totally understand this, DJ. Like that's where you start kicking in and being like, all right, I'm going to Thanos this. Let me handle it.
We've got
I'll
some
do it
Discord.
myself.
We've got some Discord questions. Before we get into that, that's a perfect segue into creating stuff yourself. I did want to meant to mention at the top, did not. If you guys go to dangerboycomic.com, you can go over to the pre-launch page to my new comic, which is dropping February 18th. That is the launch day. But if you want to be notified the second it goes live, and you're going to want to, because there's going to be launch exclusive rewards and some discounted tiers, you can do that over at dangerboycomic.com. Sign up for a pre-launch page. You know what I haven't been doing enough of is showing some of Sean's incredible art from the comic itself.
You haven't been doing any of that, DJ.
I know. I've been stingy with it. I don't
even know who you are anymore, dude.
So, for those that don't know, Danger Boy and the Antagonist takes place in an alternate retro future. Hey, just like Fantastic Four, but the actual future, not the past. Retro future, cyberpunk dystopia, where a team of misunderstood outsiders must protect their city from the world's most powerful so-called heroes from taking it over. If you look in this, still for people watching the video, this is a shot of the statesmen who in this world are billed as the world's most powerful heroes. But as we've learned, sometimes the people that are meant to protect you do not do that. In fact, do the opposite of that. And so Danger Boy must team up with some outsiders to protect their city. And here's some inks. Oh my God. For people watching the video.
Who does your colors, DJ?
Sean. It's all Sean. Yeah. It's all
Sean. This guy is incredible.
Yeah.
I've loved everything you've shown me from this book. But I got to tell you about the impetus of this story, DJ. Like, when did you start wanting to tell this story, when everything was already in the shit, or has it started to go to shit? Not that the American whole thing hasn't been in the shit for 20 plus years.
We were so good recently.
Like,
everything's been so good.
So good.
Yeah. At what point were you like, enough's enough? I got to tell my statement on anti-fascism, because I love everything I've seen you post about this.
I've had an iteration of this character in this story in my back pocket for well over a decade now. Because Jonathan, I'm sure it's been similar. We love the genre, but then it's like when you're talking about making your own comics or whatever, you're like, but what do I have to add? Like, do I have anything to say or add? So I've been sitting on it, and then as time went on, I was like, no, you know what? I do kind of. Here's the.
Was it always a comic, DJ?
Yeah, for me.
Because Hear the Prophecy, we shot a pilot with Doug Jones and a bunch of actors. Like we filmed a bunch of stuff for Hear the Prophecy. We took it around Hollywood, and people were just like, John Carter of Mars just tanked. I don't know if
yeah.
So that didn't help.
Yeah.
But
no,
I just got frustrated. So I said, I want to tell the whole story. Let's make it a comic. How did this start to formulate?
For me, stuff kind of tells me what it is, and it feels like, okay, this feels like a movie, this feels like a comic, this feels like a pilot, and this was always it was always a comic to me. And then I came across Sean's work, and I'm like, this is, and then I was so enamored with his work, I was like, okay, what project do I have that I can work on this guy with? And I went back to this, and it kind of came from not even so much that our world changed so much as our understanding of stuff grew and evolved, of our situation in this country. But superhero comics really didn't. Superhero comics are still struggling with superhero comics in particular, still struggling with with the question of what is heroism in the 21st century. And you'll kind of see them, massive rebrands, and they're like, yeah, but okay, hear me out. What if Batman fought a massive crime wave? And I'm like, yeah, you're still in the 1930s. You know what I mean? That's still where you're at. And so you're kind of like looking ahead and trying to see if we can push the superhero genre into the future, into what it could be, what instead of heroism being beating up poor people with mental health issues and stuff like that, maybe taking comics back to its roots of being kind of anti-authoritarian.
Is it a pulp book? Would it be like a pulp story more than anything, like The Shadow or
no? It's very much we're pulling from stuff like from a ton of different stuff like Invincible and Batman Beyond and even stuff like Super Sentai, Kamen Rider.
But it's a comic
My
book.
Hero-
So there's no truth to the rumors that you're wearing the helmet and going out and breaking up ice raids. Because I've heard in our neighborhood at least that someone has been wearing a helmet similar to your character.
The helmeted hero is Satoshi Santos.
Okay, it's not you
not
in
me,
this cover.
not me
This
at
comic
all.
is a cover for your illegal, illicit
Don't
vigilante
out him.
activities.
But
What are you trying to do?
So if all of this
Narc.
interests you, you can go to dangerboycomic.com, sign up for a pre-launch page, and while you're over there, by the way, on Kickstarter, you should mosey on over to Paul London, Hero of Prophecy. So, Jonathan, you were just talking about, oh, look at this art. Speaking of art, look at this
Marcelo
art.
Sanchez. He's Chilean. It's all hand drawn. He doesn't do any digital anything, which was a pain in the butt when I was trying to find a colorist, because he does this watercolor stuff on it. Not water and not in color, but he'll take his inks and he'll put water through them and give a nice little texture. And we had a great colorist, Vittorio Stone, who does Canto for Dark Horse, David Bohr's book, and he was the only colorist I could find that didn't just step on the textures. In fact, I told Vittorio, I was like, David Bohr tells me that you put a layer on to add a little bit of pulp to it to make it look like paper, and he's like, Jonathan, your artist drew all this on paper. It's already there. I can't add anything to it. It looks beautiful. And I was like, okay, cool. But it took me a while to find Marcelo, and he's
coloring and lettering. People underestimate how much coloring and lettering really matters to your comic.
Takes forever.
Yeah, and it makes it feel professional. Well, actually,
be clear, you guys both had babies and launched comics at the same time. That's what you guys did.
We're crazy people, Roxy. We're crazy people.
We still write our screenplays. We do all this stuff. Roxy, you got to get in on this. Maybe not the baby part.
I should have a baby if I want to be be then. Apparently, that's what you got to do.
I was going to say I might slow roll the successful part. It's more like
what love.
It's more like a problem. We have a problem. And then it's we're
psychotic, dude. You understand? Like, DJ's the one person I know. Like, if I text him at like 3 a.m. or something, I know he's got the same mania that I do.
Yeah.
We're on the same vibrational wavelengths,
Yeah.
How do you guys know each other?
Through Jason Inman, friend of the show, Jason Inman. We don't talk about
Jason Inman's Fight Club?
No, listen, you know what they do if they find out you've been talking about the Fight Club? They come to your house and beat you up. Like, what the fuck? Now I don't have to go downtown, park in that stupid warehouse alley. I can just it's like DoorDash for Fight Club.
Yeah.
Talk about the fight. Listen, I'm talking about right now. They might come knock on my door during this episode. You might see yourself a fight right here in my living room, home court advantage. I know where the cheese grater is. I know where all the weapons are hidden. Guys, talk about Fight Club in public. Don't even worry about it.
So, Jonathan, dream a dream worlds. This does gangbusters for you, and then you guys can make the pilot that you shot, or what are you hoping for?
I just want to complete the story that has been sitting on my hard drive for a while. It's a love letter to my brother. The only person I really needed to write it for was Paul, but I wanted to put it out in the public just so Paul, people celebrate him. I mean, it was amazing watching him in WWE. I still think that he has the best Royal Rumble elimination ever with Snitsky. And it's on the top 5. Every time Royal Rumble comes around, my feed is like, dude, if you your brother's back in the top 5, top 3. Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes were doing a podcast together like 2-3 months ago, and they put my brother over.
It's so cool.
And I sent it to my brother. I was like, dude, did you know Cody and they're still talking about you like this? And Paul has a wrestling academy. He still wrestles. I'll tell you what, talking about Fantastic Four, Paul's wrestling partner is Paul Walter Hauser, who he met training him to be a wrestler. Multiple Academy Award nominee Paul Walter Hauser. And one of the roles Paul was training him for, Ben Grimm, The Thing. Sorry, Paul, if I'm putting you on blast. Paul Walter Hauser clearly did not get that role as The Thing, but he is still involved in Fantastic Four First Steps.
And he
still
playing?
has a role. No, I don't know who he's playing, but I'll tell you what, it's kind of cool that Paul and Paul are still tag partners together. So they'll go to like Texas and like wrestle. Great. It's hilarious.
I like Paul Walter Hauser a lot. I
think he's great.
Down with me. And he's an awesome dude. Wait, I have a question for you, just to nerd out for 1 second. That's kind of unrelated, but I'm a WWE fan.
It's what we're here for, Roxy.
They let your brother keep his name?
Yeah. I don't think Vince McMahon cared about the cruiserweights enough to care. You know what I mean? Like Chavo Guerrero still has his name.
Yeah, it's just very
Chavo's
rare.
Been great. Brian Kendrick still has his name. I just talked to John Hennigan, who's John Morrison. I talked to him about 2-3 days ago. he still has his name. A lot of these cruiserweights still have their name, and obviously Paul went on to work for Robert Rodriguez at El Rey. They were all part of that roster for Lucha Underground.
Mm-hmm.
Paul will pop into AEW. I don't think he's done AEW. It might be money issue. I think that's what it was told to me. But
They
you know,
seem
Paul,
to have a lot of money right now.
yeah, they you know, spend it on your wrestlers. And I think just, I don't know, I can't speak for anybody.
Yeah,
I think the
of
one thing I would change besides unionization for wrestling, the one thing that really affected
of course.
all, I mean, I saw all these guys having rough times, and it didn't matter. You were the biggest name on the bill, rough time. I got a chance to talk to Dave Bautista about this at the first Guardians premiere. I was like, hey, Dave, I just got to tell you, my brother says that you're the guy in the WWE who bought him the most sandwiches, like the most lunches. And I got to thank you for that. And he's like, bro, I love your brother. And I would unionize wrestling. And also, I don't think it makes sense that they don't have an off season. If you have 3 or 4, I would have 3 rosters as the WWE does, SmackDown, Raw, and maybe add like an ECW if it's not currently there. Have each roster working 2/3 of the year. A third of that roster's year is off.
Yeah.
So a third of that year overlaps at the end of one of the other rosters in the beginning of the next roster. So there is overlap on every single roster. So they can do matches against each other. There should be pay-per-views where all 3 rosters are involved, but it gives wrestlers a third of the year to recuperate. I mean, by the time I was writing Here the Prophecy to tell my brother I love him, I don't care if you quit WWE, you're always going to be my brother. By the time I was writing this funny, silly love letter, Paul, you know, he had fractures in his, you know, in his arm where the WWE just told him like, hey, it's sprained, don't worry about it, spray it down with some numbing agent, send him back out. Or you know, he had discs in his back that no longer looked like discs. They started looking like little carrots in his back, like it just landing on the mat 3-4 nights a week. You know, I saw him get 14 staples in his head out in San Diego. I drove him down there. I got so many great wrestling stories of like driving my brother to these matches and being backstage with these guys. And I love everybody on the roster, but it's tough. The grind is what's tough. The grind is what's tough, and making that product is what's tough. And the wear and tear of it, especially after losing our brother Daniel, I just wasn't willing to lose my brother Paul. And he was, you know, he was really, the look in his face walking out of that Aronofsky wrestler movie was just like, oh my God, I saw the ghost of Christmas Future. And I was like, whoa, wait. You will be a hero again, but it'll be a far off distant fantasy world. It needs a hero. And so I wrote the story as a film. We got a bunch of our friends like Marisha Ray from Critical Role to be in it. Yuri Lowenthal, who is Spider-Man in the PlayStation games, is in it. Doug Jones, of course, from Shape of Water. And they've always been so awesome on Geekscape. I said, let's get a bunch of our Geekscape friends on this. Chris Masters is another wrestler. And we took a bunch of wrestlers and actors to Simi Valley and put them in loincloths and costumes and had them.
That's crazy.
What the coolest part of it, I'm ripping off a shot from Beastmaster, one of my favorite movies. Paul is up on a cliff with a loincloth and a sword, and my DP Amanda is putting a big telephoto lens on the camera. It's taken a while to really set this focus. And I check my phone, and I've got an email from Don Coscarelli, the director of the original Beastmaster and the Fantastic movies. And he wants to come on Geekscape.
Yeah.
Dude, he wants to come on Geekscape to promote John Dies at the End. And he's like, hey, Jonathan, I want to come on Geekscape and promote John Dies at the End. And I was like, Don, we are literally ripping you off right now. So I take a picture of the monitor of my brother dressed just like Mark Singer in Beastmaster on a cliff. It's the same shot. I have an iPad with the shot, and I'm just giving it to Amanda, be like, give me that. And I take a photo of the monitor. I send it back to Don Coscarelli. I was like, you still want to come on Geekscape, considering I'm literally ripping you off right now? He was great, but
is anybody ever going to see this?
It just happens. Yeah, it's on YouTube. It immediately got like 20,000 or so views from the wrestling fans, but it was a sizzle. And I took it to everywhere from Machinima to other places. And that Andrew Stanton, you know, John Carter Mars, I don't think it really helped the whole idea of having a Flash Gordon, John Carter Mars story of a person from Earth going to a distant world and freeing a kingdom. The comic really was to just get it out of my system. During the Hollywood strike, everybody was walking the studio saying, hey, what would you write if you didn't have to worry about daycare? What would you write if you didn't have to worry about your mortgage? What would you write if you had to? And I was like, well, I wrote it. It's Here the Prophecy, but nobody's read it. let me just write it as a comic. George Callert, my partner in Geekscape, and I will bankroll it. We'll make sure that it gets told. And we've had a booth at Comic-Con every summer, so we'll sell it there if the Kickstarter doesn't work. But we printed 150 of these freaking things before the Kickstarter even started. It will be a success. We're at 81% 3 days in, thanks to the strategy of Mr. DJ Woolbridge, who's been my guru of Kickstarter. He and Jason Inman.
Yep.
I don't know.
Jason Inman more of the two. Jason Inman is the one.
Don't do that to yourself. You're doing that to yourself again.
He downplays himself.
Jason Inman's the one I talk to, so I would say
don't do that.
It's not going to work when it's Jonathan. You can't downplay your strengths.
Don't do
two
that.
of us. Jonathan, did your brother see it? Has he read it yet?
Oh, not only that. Like, I sent him the drafts. I sent him the outline. I sent him everything. He's obviously read the feature scripts. He's read the shorts. He's read the different things and all the pivots that we try to make. And then the comic drafts, he's like, he just want to read them. And so then I go and I get the artist to draw.
You won't read them?
And I sent him the pencils. He won't look at them. I sent him the inks. He won't look at them. And then finally I get it lettered. And he's like, I was like, Paul, can you please give me feedback? Because I'm doing all the choreography.
Yeah.
I'm doing this like, I know wrestling. I'm not a fan of it, but I know it. And then Paul does a Stan Lee pass at the end. He'll go through and he'll give me suggestions on all the dialogue, all the wrestling references. He'll put in some Easter eggs for the wrestling fans. There's a nice Shawn Michaels reference in here. Shawn Michaels was one of Paul's big allies in WWE that would go to bat for him and trained Paul. I love Shawn Michaels, so it was cool that Paul put that in. But if there's stuff in here that is like hardcore, like a wrestling reference or something, like a name, that's stuff that wrestlers say to each other. And so Paul gave me the lingo. He even he went with some of the other characters and he's like, hey, I think Shatara should say this. I think this is really a poignant thing for Finnegan to say right now. And I was like, thank you, sir. So he does do a pass. Cool. And I love it. I love collaborating with Paul.
So
one of my close friends is X-Pac Sean Waltman. So I feel very lucky to be in this world. And also Kathy Kelly. We are all very close. And I have a lot of wrestler friends. They all say, and doctors say, that it's like getting in a car crash every single night when you're on the floor. So
I hated it. Watching him get those. Really, I mean, when he was in San Diego, I drive him down. I bring my DS. I'm sitting there playing Minish Cap because wrestling's fun, but it's the Minish Cap. It's a great Zelda game. And I'm sitting there playing in the stands. I give each match like a minute. I'm like, okay, is this a cool match? Yeah, I'm gonna go back to Zelda. Paul's match I'll watch, but there was an exposed bolt on the turnbuckle from an earlier match where they were like, we're gonna throw you against the metal, and they pull the turnbuckle padding off, and they didn't really put it back properly. So this bolt was exposed, and Paul went between the ropes, and it grazed his head, and he got 14 staples. And that match had to be cut a little bit short, I think, but they're just using him like a stamp in the ring. There's just blood every time his head hits the ground, like blood. And I'm sitting there going, how the F am I going to explain this? But like, I have so many stories, like sitting in LAX waiting for my bags waiting for Paul's bags with the Undertaker.
Well, the good news is that at least in wrestling they have incredible health care. So
dude, it's only in the ring. They only cover you in the ring.
No, I was being sarcastic. We do not for as popular as it is, we do not treat those entertainers the way we should.
No,
but
they should be unionized under the stunt workers. They're doing stunts on television.
But for the people that want to support your comic, where do they find it? And is there a specific perk you're like, this is the one, gang, this is the one you guys should check out?
It's herearetheprophecy.com.
Yeah.
Just get the book, man. It's $5 for a digital version. If you want a physical, it's one of these, it's 10. And if you want it signed by Paul, it's 20. You want it signed by me, it's 100. No, I'm kidding. You can get yourself a t-shirt, some stickers. The stickers are printed. We got some wrestling belts we can customize and send you for $500 tier with everything. Or it's like, you get everything. Get yourself a championship belt, and maybe Paul will jump off a rope onto you. Do whatever you want to do.
Do whatever you want. So please,
I just want the story will be finished.
Yeah,
that's the whole goal.
So that is herearetheprophecy.com.
Yeah,
go over there, check it out. I've already backed it. You should back it too. And before we go, we have some Discord questions about the Fantastic Four trailer that I want to get to. Ryan asks, how do you feel about the tone thus far? I think we've already discussed that to varying degrees. Also, if Marvel's goal is to fold everything into the same timeline post Secret Wars, do you feel like it would have been made sense to simply make this film after? And so I'm going to put a little spin on that.
After what?
After Secret Wars.
Secret Wars.
How do you guys think this leads into Secret Wars? Or do you even think it does? I mean,
Yes,
Jonathan, you were talking about, you think Galactus is going to destroy the planet?
Create the same thing that the incursion events created when they were collapsing the Ultimate Universe in the Marvel Comics. And Reed is going to make a bridge, I think. He's going to save his family and everyone who can, hopefully Herbie. And they're going to escape the Shalabal Galactus ending of that world. And then they're going to end up in the MCU in time. And they're probably going to drag Doom with them. Like,
do you guys think
Doom's going to be like, great, it's time to party, and he's going to create a Battle World style. It's the Hickman run. If you haven't read Jonathan Hickman's Secret War, it's got some of the best back and forth between Doom and Reed that you can get. It's amazing. It's beautiful, and you should read it.
Here's my problem with that.
Artwork.
Here's my problem with that. I think it is a great run, but
I think that's the movie. Dude.
But I don't think we're getting RDJ's Doom in it, and so I actually don't think. I think we're de-emphasizing. I think Marvel is de-emphasizing.
You don't think we're getting RDJ's Doom in what?
And Fantastic Four. I think we're going to save that.
At all?
I think they're saving that RDJ truck of money for Doomsday and Secret Wars, and I actually think they're going to de-emphasize the relationship between Reed and Doom.
Mm-hmm. It was just fine for a movie in the same way that, not every villain is in, we didn't get Baron Zemo in the first.
Don't think we're getting Doom at all?
We're going to add a hint of Doom. I think Doom's going to be your teaser.
Yeah.
Or the post credit. I think Doom's going to be in your credits.
Roxy, how do you feel about it? Because I know for me, I was like, I don't want Doom as a teaser. I want Doom in the movie. I want Doom. Roxy, how do you feel about
Galactus, not a cloud? You better be thankful over there, DJ Wilbur.
I am about that. I am thankful that Galactus looks like Galactus. The actor that got to play Galactus's voice. I'm like, yes, perfect.
Well, that was
good
the
job.
other thing the timeline was pissed about. He's not tall enough. What?
Who cares? That doesn't matter.
What are you talking about?
Look at the Kirby books. He's not as tall as you think he is. In the Kirby books, he's just above the skyline, and he has this giant thing.
You're preaching to the choir. Yeah. I know.
Roxy,
I know.
let's pause on this RDJ Doom thing. How much, if any, do you think of RDJ's Doom is going to be in First Steps?
I would be really, really shocked if we leave the theater and he was not seen once. So I honestly think that they might show him in a trailer, which will be a big mistake.
Yeah.
But it's possible because we know that they're throwing everything they have at this. But this is exactly why what Jonathan's talking about leading out of this movie and into the next is exactly how I feel and why I think that this is so different than Superman, because the responsibilities of these movies are vastly different. Superman is starting something. Fantastic Four is continuing something. It's all very fluid over at Marvel, which, as you know, DJ, and you don't know, Jonathan, I have a big problem with. I have been hoping for a full, hard relaunch of Marvel.
I think that's what you're going to get with the end of Civil War.
That's not hard to relaunch. That is not a hard relaunch.
Yeah, but I think you're going to get the pick and choose that James Gunn is going to be doing. James Gunn's kind of pick and choosing stuff that counts and doesn't count.
Kind of, but not.
I think you're going to get that
based on who he likes to work.
Yeah. But I think you're going to get what works and what doesn't work in the MCU. I think people are going to be like, oh, that didn't really work. Hey, we get a chance to do the Inhumans again.
I don't think we're recasting Spider-Man. I don't think we're, I don't think we're doing a you have your opinions. I have mine.
Yeah.
I love him. But I want us to be like, oh, right, these are for the kids. Let's give them an easy place to start by starting over. I just think it's insane that we're just going to keep doing this for the rest of our lives.
I do hear that.
But we have whole episodes on it, so everybody knows. I'm also not the writer, so I get to enjoy the movies as they decide that they are. They don't have to do what I want them to do in order for me to like it. So I still very much enjoy what we're doing. But Superman has a way different weight on its back. And I don't think if Fantastic Four isn't good, which I think it's going to be great, but if it isn't good, I don't actually think that has much effect on the future of the MCU. I think that Fantastic Four could be awful and the rest of the MCU could still be great. If Superman isn't good, I think that the DCU is in massive trouble. So those
Guys.
are two completely different things.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah, I think it's going to be amazing.
Yeah,
I'm just
well,
It's gonna
saying
be good.
they're different things, different beasts.
Speaking of the different internets, I've been seeing a lot of discourse of like, I don't know why people are comparing Fantastic Four and Superman. It's like, well, I do, because I actually kind of disagree, Roxy. I do think Fantastic Four is in sort of a similar place where not only are they trying to do Fantastic Four again, I do think it's kind of, you're right that it's not rebooting the MCU, but it kind of, because it's not directly connected, it kind of is. Like, I think there are some similarities there. I think the weight on Superman is more significant, but I don't know that it's completely unrelated to Superman. And so I'm going to go ahead and compare the two. I think Superman's going to eat Fantastic Four's lunch. I think Superman's going to absolutely dominate the summer. And I think Fantastic Four will probably do fine.
I think that's true. I mean, how many people are going to watch Thunderbolts and then be like, I got my Marvel kick, or Captain America, and I got my Marvel kick? Marvel's competing against itself at the same time, but can people all see three? Yeah, we're going to see all three.
Yeah,
we're
going to see all three. We're definitely going to see all
four of these movies. And I don't know, maybe they're both going to be looking pretty neck and neck as well. What are the dates on these, DJ? You got one in June.
You know what? I should have
late
them.
July Comic-Con for Fantastic Four.
It's not that late, right?
Fantastic Four is releasing in the same window.
Oh no, Superman is July 13th or something around my birthday.
And it looks like Fantastic Four is July 25th.
That's Comic-Con weekend. That you saw what Deadpool Wolverine did on that weekend.
Yeah,
it
but
destroyed.
Which weekend's Comic-Con weekend?
The
25th, the 20.
So that's Fantastic Four.
Whatever the weekend that was around Comic-Con, or the week after Comic-Con.
Because you're saying June, July, but it's not June, July. It's July.
They're actually pretty close. I would be scared of that. I would actually be scared of that. That's very close. But
I would
be go see both movies.
July 25th is Fantastic Four, and Superman is
11th or something.
Yeah, man.
What is it?
It's you're right. It's the 11th. If I were Marvel, I would move out of Superman's way. I would move out of Superman's way.
Not after you did Deadpool Wolverine money on that weekend.
Fantastic Four is not Deadpool or Wolverine.
Do not blink, Marvel. Marvel, don't blink.
Yeah.
Don't blink. Don't blink. You got a whole listen. When you guys reveal that Thunderbolts is actually New Avengers, when you know those little asterisks.
Boo to that.
The stockholders. Listen, you're not a stockholder, are you? Are you at the stockholder meetings?
I'm not.
I'm betting right now it might happen during the big tackle pass thing happening this weekend, but we might get a reveal soon that Thunderbolts thing is like just like in the Music run of Thunderbolts is like surprise.
Yeah,
we're not what you thought we were. And guys, what Disney stockholder is not yelling for the word Avengers to be on that marquee instead of Thunderbolts?
Yeah, but
there's a lot. Maybe with a different you immediately make a ton more money if there's Avengers on your marquee than Thunderbolts. I think that movie's going to release as New Avengers. when all is said and done, and that movie comes out in May, it's going to be released as an Avengers movie. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And you know what? Maybe I'm just protecting.
And the reasons for it might be next week in Captain America.
Yeah.
Right. The need for a new Avengers.
Yeah, maybe maybe I'm projecting my own feels from watching these trailers. I just think Superman's gonna fucking eat Fantastic Four's lunch.
I would love all of it. We live in a geek golden age. There's no bad here. I sat there watching the Eternals and I was like, doesn't really work, but I got a damn Eternals. I love that movie.
Roxy and I like Eternals. Roxy and I like Eternals. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Is it the Kirby stuff? No, but is there stuff in that movie that I love? Hell yes. There's stuff in all of this that I love.
Remember the stuff at the end of that movie that we're never gonna
follow up on.
Don't say that. Guys, we got Kingo. We got Kingo back in
What If.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. I loved it. Guys, my first job in high school was working in the comic store.
Okay,
I'm still doing it.
I appreciate you bringing it up because this you perfectly segued me into the last thing I wanted to ask. We've known for a while that Natasha Lyonne is going to be in Fantastic Four, and a lot of people speculated that she was going to be the Thing's love interest, Alicia Masters. However, and I don't know if I've talked about this with Roxy, so I'm going to say this as if I haven't told Roxy this because I know she didn't watch What If. However, Natasha Lyonne.
I watched the pilot of What If.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about season 3.
I love What If. I
like What If in theory. I think they could have done more with the premise. But in what Natasha Lyonne shows up in What If. Roxy, do you know what character? It sounds like Jonathan watched it, so he knows. Do you know what character Natasha Lyonne played in What If?
I have no idea.
She played the magical daughter of Howard the Duck and Darcy from the Thor movies, and she's a
Guys-
character named Birdie. She's a magical bird lady.
That's what they brought in Natasha Lyonne.
Yeah.
Don't downplay DJ. You're downplaying a freaking Phoenix Force level entity, the Star Brand. She plays the
Is she Star Brand? Is she supposed to be Star Brand?
Star Brand symbol on her.
They call her Birdie, and she's the daughter of Howard the Duck and Darcy. Kat Dennings' Darcy.
Everybody who has the Star Brand has the Star Brand, but they're called whatever they're called, right? Like, so the Star Brand, Roxy, you know, if you don't know what the Star Brand was, in like 84, 85, 86, Marvel tried to add a second universe. It wasn't that great, but they had some great creators on it. The only thing that survived that universe and got pulled over to the like Marvel 616 that we know in the comics is the character Star Brand, which is a Phoenix Force level cosmic entity that protects the Earth. And it's really powerful. In Natasha Lyonne's Birdie character, which is fun and silly, and yes, Howard the Duck and Darcy's like daughter, is the freaking Star Brand. Like, that's powerful.
But my question is, last question.
Do it. It worked for you?
Yeah, man. Like the thing with What If is like you can just dismiss whatever you want to dismiss. Don't dismiss whatever you want to dismiss. Like, it's just fun.
Would you be excited? My question is, will you guys be excited to see Natasha Lyonne play Birdie in Fantastic Four First Steps?
If the Star Brand is protecting the Earth from Galactus, and it's a failure too, because Galactus, like, yeah, I think that would be fun to see a cameo of the Star Brand, like trying to impede Galactus's hunger. But okay, let's go.
What do you think, Roxy? Are you excited for Birdie?
I have no opinion on this.
I should have an image. Roxy, can you look up Birdie, Natasha Lyonne Birdie now?
It's not the coolest thing. But we got the Star Brand.
Well, listen, here's cool. I feel like part of this is for people wondering, like, why is DJ down on this trailer? I am very over the multiverse. I'm so over it. And so,
why are you reading comics, dog? Listen, when we do a crossover, you and me, when we do comics crossover, guess what? It's probably going to be multiverse.
In between you and I just don't.
Oh, she's a cool look.
I just don't love the way the MCU's utilizing it, and it's just a way to do nostalgia porn, and I'm not here for it. So
listen, you're doing what you can. You're creating your own stuff, and you get to play in your sandbox, baby.
Exactly.
And we get to play in your sandbox too, starting on the 18th. I really appreciate you at least delaying your Kickstarter and not step on mine, man.
That was definitely the reason I did it.
You're so merciful.
That was definitely the reason I did it. DangerBoyComic.com, the hero of the prophecy.
No, just hero of the prophecy.
Hero of the prophecy.com. Check out both Kickstarters. Roxy, where can they find your Kickstarter?
No, Roxy, we need your comic. Where is it?
Yeah, no, definitely pick up my comic.
Yeah.
It's at.
We're
Roxy
joking, but you've told me some of your movie stuff that I think could make some pretty good slice of life comics that do have there's an audience. There is an audience for that. I'm not kidding. There is an audience for that stuff on Kickstarter.
It is interesting hearing you guys talk about it because I have like 15 scripts I'm sitting on right now. None of them have been made at this point.
I'm not going to say that making a comic is cheap,
rude.
but it is cheaper than a movie.
I think she's being rude. I think denying the populace and your fans of this show who would support you gladly.
Yeah, I am known as disrespectful. That is
very
what
disrespectful.
They call me.
It's very disrespectful. It's very disrespectful.
You can find me
DJ,
at
thank you for warning me that your co-host was so disrespectful.
You're welcome.
Like, before she gets on, she's very disrespectful.
I need to let our guests know ahead of time. But Roxy,
my biggest fear in life is that I'm somebody who comes with a preface. You know that one friend that comes with a preface, and every time you introduce them, you have to tell the person beforehand, like, they're a little whatever.
I'm so I'm glad there's a StreamYard where she can't directly spit on me, but emotionally she has.
But speaking of disrespect, Roxy, you were just talking about where the kids can find you.
Yes. You guys can find me at Roxy Stryer, and I'm not exactly positive what yet, but for Real Rejects this Sunday for the passy throwy. All day I'm going to be there doing stuff. So check out the socials so that you can support what I'm doing over there.
Check all that out, please and thank you. Jonathan, where can the kids find you?
I've been hosting the Geekscape podcast since 2006. It is my sarcophagus, man.
You're close to 20 years. You're close to 20 years.
But it turned into the Geekscape Network, where we have a lot of other podcasts that cover a lot of other great stuff. But I host the Geekscape show still, and I'm on all the socials, Jonathan London, all that stuff. Just search for Jonathan London or search for Geekscape, and if you find the wrong one, they probably got some cool stuff too. Don't worry about it.
I'm gonna follow you.
Go follow
right back
him.
at you, sister. I'm gonna
I
follow
like
you.
you.
I'm gonna follow you, and I'm gonna be like leaving comments on everything you post. Be like, where that comic at,
Yeah,
girl?
where it at?
Where that comic at? Yo,
I'm a loyal
listen,
liker. You be
I know,
ready.
but keeping that stuff in your mind jelly, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's it's like really selfish. Share it with the world while you're on this side of the ground, girl, because your heartbeats ain't counting up, they counting down. Remember that. Peace.
There you go. You can find me at DJ Talks Trash everywhere that matters. Increasingly on Blue Sky, by the way. I feel like I missed the influx of people going over to Blue Sky.
Dude, it's
And
great.
I'm a little jealous of all the people around me that have more followers than I do.
Don't do that.
on
Don't-
Blue
it's not a
Sky.
race.
I feel that too,
Not a
DJ.
race.
But
It's
I
not a
want
race, guys.
I need there to be hashtags there.
It's not.
Why
yeah,
can't they give
hashtags.
me hashtags?
It's
It's
not-
so frustrating.
It's not a race. However, Twitter
race.
was where I did most of my promoting. And so now that I'm not over there as much, I would love people to be with me on Blue Sky. So when I have a comic coming to Kickstarter, they hear about it.
Yo, DJ, I started a Substack. Have you gotten in on the Substack?
I might be getting on Substack
it's
soon.
a
We'll
great place to
see.
put your thoughts.
Yeah.
Roxy, you're gonna start it's where you put your thoughts.
Yeah.
You're like
I'm just
inner
so
and
scared of
just
all the
do it.
places. I just did what you did, DJ, and now I'm on Blue Sky and
Yeah.
I'm trying there. But like, I want Twitter to just to go back and not be a place where everybody tries to explain to me why
No.
it's okay that Elon is Nazi.
I'm letting it die.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just be a place that I can exist and like just find my tribe. Like, why is everybody coming at you?
Yeah, I
Your
think
tribe's
it's
in the comments.
it's
Roxy.
really-
this is the tribe.
This is the tribe. This is the tribe. We got
The
people.
friends you had all along.
We're what we made along the way. Anyway,
The friends you had all along.
Last line of
And
my comment.
when you saw the two footprints in the sand, it was
Sand.
when we carried you.
it was.
Oh.
Yeah, there you go. It was Birdie the whole time. Anyway,
Birdie.
thank you guys for joining us. We will see you all next time. Bye, everybody.